doing math with RHB, and we're looking at converting fraction forms. We've got two types: improper fractions to mixed numbers, and then taking the mixed number back to improper fractions. Why are we doing this? Because when you end up with adding, subtracting, multiplying, dividing fractions, you need to be able to do both of these processes to be able to complete some of the questions. Turning on the overhead, you're going to take a look at some of the fractions. These are just fraction tiles. Right? So we have a unit of 1, there's your whole number. As soon as you get into fractions, you're talking, if it's a proper fraction, which is the numerator smaller than the denominator, you're talking less than a whole number. So half, it's like having half a dollar. Thirds, quarters, and you notice each time pieces are getting bigger. Okay? The bottom number tells you how many total pieces you have. 2. Top number tells you what portion you're either using or have used or have left over. And so you have 1/3, so you have it in thirds. And you still have your total of 1. Quarter. And there's 4 quarters. It's like saying there's 4 quarters in a dollar. 5s. Alright? If again you're going to use the dollar, say this is a whole dollar. Right? If you have 5s, that means you have 20 cents. 20 cents, 20, 20, 20, 20. 6 does not go evenly into a dollar, but you can still do 6 parts because 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 parts together out of 1. Now, we might be too low there, so I'm going to push this up. We have 8s, 10s, 12s, 12's right at the very bottom. Either way, right, you still have parts of 1. You're just making the parts smaller as you go. If there's 12 parts, okay, each part is going to be smaller. When you're talking 6 parts, you can see the difference in the size. Okay, 6 parts, they have a little bit bigger for each part. 12 parts, so if we were to go 15 parts, 20 parts, again, there'd be a lot more splits here and you'd have smaller pieces. So it sounds confusing, the number gets bigger and the parts get smaller, but that just means there's more parts to the whole. To take away these, we're going to put up using the converting fractions. So if we're going to convert fraction forms, okay, you don't need to convert proper fractions. There's only the 2 types that you do convert. Improper to mixed number. Alright, and then the mixed number back to improper. So looking at the first one, from improper to mixed number, you divide the denominator into the numerator. Like I said, it always works that way. You don't divide the top into the bottom, it always goes the other way. Record the number of times as the whole number. Whatever remains will be written over the denominator. So that's your written explanation. Mathematically, this is what it looks like. I'm going to move that up a little bit. So I have 10 over 3. That's an improper fraction. So here's my arrow, which you don't have to write, but I'm just showing you what I'm doing. How many 3's, there's my divide line, how many 3's can I get out of 10? So that's like saying 10 divided by 3 equals, I can get 3 groups of 3, and I'm going to have a remainder of 1, or in mixed number form, I'm going to have 3 and 1/3. Alright, so the 1 will now go over top of the 3. And that's how we get our mixed number form. But hit the overhead. From mixed numbers to improper, this one requires a little bit different work. You multiply the denominator by the whole number, and then you add the numerator. So in this case, 3 and 1/10. So you do 10 times 3 plus 1. So 10 times 3 plus 1. Alright, still following the orders of BEDMAS, right? You have 10, you have to do multiply before you do add and subtract. Either way, you end up with 10 times 3 is 30 plus 1 is 31 over top of 10. And that gives you your improper fraction. When you come to some of the add, subtract, multiply, and divide, there's times where you're going to have to convert a mixed number to an improper fraction to be able to complete the math. So it's fairly simple and it always works the same way. It doesn't matter what your example is. Let's see, 4, it's not very good, 4, it's not showing up very well. 4 and let's say 3 sevenths, doesn't matter. So you end up with 7 times the 4 plus the 3. So 7 times 4 is 28 plus 3 is 31. So you end up with 7 times 4 plus 3 equals 31 over top of 7. So it goes from the bottom to the top, from the bottom to the top. All right, same as when you're doing the division. Here, when you've got an improper to a mixed number, you're going from the bottom to the top.